fellow Stonites of grade 9. How are you all? I am Miss Anamika and I will be teaching you physics for this academic session. In today's video, we will learn about a different topic or a new topic, that is about force and the laws of motion. In the previous chapter or in the previous video, you have learned about motion and the different types of motion, the vector and the scalar quantities, right? And in this video, we will also learn about motion, but at the same time, we will learn also on a different topic, that is force. We will talk about force. Now, in simple terms, what if I ask you what is motion? In simple terms, motion is nothing but it's the phenomena in which an object changes its position with time. It is what? It is the phenomena in which an object changes its position with time. And it is described in terms of, mathematically it is described in terms of speed, distance, time, displacement and acceleration, etc. Now, a body is said to be in motion when its position changes with time with respect to the observer. For example, the flying bird or the aeroplane or the moving car, the falling apple, etc. They all are in motion. So in the previous chapter, we have talked about motion, and in this chapter, we will not only talk about motion, but we also will be talking about the cause of motion, the reason why things move or they stop moving, right? So motion is when an object moves from one place to another. For example, taking this duster, at this point of view, it is there, but when I take it and I place it on my hand, so with time, it changes its position. It has changed its position with time, so that you can say that it is in motion. So this is motion, and the force, okay, the force is the reason or the cause of an object that make it to move or stop moving. For example, kicking a ball, squeezing the toothpaste, or just like lifting a book. These are all examples of force. Anything, okay, the force or the reason which make an object move or stop moving, that is known as force. Now, for example, if I have to give you an example, I think you have heard about Sir Isaac Newton, right? Yes, so let us think about him now. Okay, just think an apple is falling from the tree. It got detached to the branch and then it is falling to the ground, or it falls to the ground. Now, what happens to the apple? Now, as it falls to the ground, what happened? The speed of the apple increases. What happened? The speed, it increases, or we say that the acceleration, or it is accelerated. Okay, the speed increases. And then we think like speed is increases, so there will be something, no? There is something, something is working on it, right? And in physics, that is said that the earth, the earth is exerting a force on the apple. The earth is what doing? The earth is exerting a force on the apple. And that is like, that force is what? Pulling towards the ground, right? The earth is what the earth is doing? The earth is pulling the apple towards the ground, so that the apple, what happened? After getting detached from the branch, it goes and falls to the ground. So you can say that it is a pull, pulling or pull. Then, for example, now if I have to move this podium, if I want to move this podium, what should I have to do? I have to either push it, right? I have to push it so that it moves, or there is a displacement, right? And that push is also a force, okay? That push is also a force. Now, for example, as I have said, if I have to move this podium, or I have to move a table, what I have to do? I have to give a force, or I have to give a push to the table so that it moves or it gets displaced little bit, right? And in this way, similarly, in physics, we say that the force is acting on the body, which causes the body to move, and that is a push. So, from the two examples, what we can conclude? We can conclude that what is force? Force is action of one body on the other. In simple terms, what can we say? We can say that force is the action of one body on the other. Or in other words, force is a push or a pull. Force is what? Is the action of one body on the another, or it is a push or a pull. Now, as I have said, that is the action of one body on the another. It has both magnitude and direction. Okay, force has both magnitude as well as direction. That makes it as a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity and it has both magnitude and direction. The SI unit of force is Newton. The SI unit of force is Newton and it is expressed by the symbol F. It is expressed by the symbol F. Now as I have said that force has a sense of magnitude, it means that the same amount of force, okay, if we apply a same amount of force but in different directions, it will produce different effects. It will produce what? Different effects. Although the amount of force may be same that we are applying in different directions, but the effects will be different. And force is one of the most important concept in physics. Okay, although we cannot see it, but its presence make our everyday life simple and easier. Okay, and its presence can be felt in our everyday routine or in our everyday life. How? By the effect it causes in our everyday life. Okay, so now moving on, let us see some of the effects of force. Or how can we say that force is working in our everyday life? Okay, through some examples or what? Let us talk about the effects of force now. First effect, what does a force do? A force make a body to move. Lying at rest. Force what it does? First of all, what can force do? It can move a body which is lying at rest. For example, again the example here, the podium is at rest, right? Or the book, it is at rest. Now if I lift up the book, see, so it is at rest but I am making it to move. So it is in motion. So very simple, it makes a body to move lying at rest. Any object which is lying at rest, if you want to move it, you have to give force. Okay, you have to give a push or a pull, and that is the force. Okay. Example, simple example like kicking the football, and then lifting a book or a pen, etc., etc. At the first point, what we have learned that force make a body lying at rest to move. The second point is that what the force do? The force can also stop a moving body. It can stop a moving body. I think you can give some examples. Examples like what? Stopping a car or a bicycle, stopping a bus, or the goalkeeper. Football. When we play football, the person who kicks the ball and the goalkeeper, what is his duty is to stop the ball. He stopped the ball by what? Exerting a force, he stopped the ball. So these are the examples of stopping a moving body. Next point is force can change the speed. It can also change the speed of a moving body. The force can, what it can do? It can change the speed of a moving body. For example, like when you are riding a bicycle, you can increase your speed, right? And at the same time, you can also decrease your speed by applying the brakes. Now, for example, let me just give you an example, simple example, okay? For example, now one of your friend is riding a bicycle, okay? He is riding a bicycle and you want to increase his speed. Then how you will do that? What you will do? You will give him a what? Push, okay? You will give him a push in the direction of the motion. You will give him what? In the same direction of the motion, and what will happen is speed will increase. But to decrease his speed, what you will do? You will have to give a force in the direction opposite to that of motion. You have to give an what? You have to give a force or a pull in the direction opposite to that of the motion that will decrease his speed. So these are the example of how it can also change the speed of a moving body. The next is it can change the force can change the direction. It can also change the direction of a moving body. It can change the direction of a moving body. For example, when you play cricket, what happens? The ball, okay, the bowler, he throws the ball and the ball comes with a speed, right? The ball is already in motion, so it comes to you, and what the batsman he do? He just hit the ball, right? He hit the ball and the ball goes in a different direction. That means what? the force which you are exerting on the ball, what happens? It changes the direction of the ball. That is an example for force can also change the direction of a moving body. Another example you can take of a carom counter, right? A carom counter, when you hit the carom counter, it goes and hit the carom coins, and then its direction changes after collision, right? So these are all examples of force can change the direction of a moving body. Now the fifth point is force can also change the shape and size. It can change the shape as well as the size of a object or a body. Here you take the example of squeezing the toothpaste tube every morning. When you squeeze, what happens to it? The size changes, right? The size changes when you are exerting a force on the tube, the size changes. So that is an example of changing the shape and size. Another example, you can take stretching a rubber band, and all these things. When you stretch, it gets elongated, right? So these are the examples of how a force can change the shape and size of a body. And lastly, we can also then say that force can rotate a body. It can rotate a body. It can rotate a body. Now for this, you just take the example of spinning a top. You used to play, no? Spinning a top or something like Beyblades, which we used to do like that, and then we used to play, right? So these are the examples of force can rotate a body. Another example you can just take of the fan. Okay, when you switch on the fan, what happens to it? The electric force, it goes there and it rotates the motor of the ceiling, and the fan rotates, right? So these are all examples of force can rotate a body. So from this point, see, there are 6 points showing how a force can affect or how force takes place in our everyday life. Okay, how it takes place or how we can see the effects through different various examples. The first is what? A force make a body to move lying at rest. Force stop a moving body. Force can change the speed of a moving body. Force can change the direction also of a moving body, and it can also change the shape and size of a body, and lastly it can also rotate a body. So in conclusion, what you can say? You can say that force can rotate a body. Force can what? Force what can do? It can accelerate a body. It can change its shape and size, and at the same time it can also produce a rotational force or rotate a body. So in conclusion, what we can say? We can say that a force can accelerate a body, can change its shape and size, and also can produce a rotational effect. Now after this, let us also talk about a topic on resultant force or net force. We will also talk about what? Resultant force, which is also known as net force. Now in general we can say what? A force, okay, a body is work under a number of forces. A body is acted upon or is exerted. When a force is exerted, we exert a number of forces. Now here also, you just take an example of almirah. Okay, let's take an example of almirah. This is an almirah. For example, this is an almirah, and two persons. Okay, let's take this is an almirah, and two persons A and B. They are exerting a force. Okay, they are exerting a force on the almirah. Let's say this is force like 2 Newton and this is like 3 Newton. They are exerting a force on the almirah. Okay, and as they are pushing the almirah, what happens? A little bit displacement. The almirah gets displaced from this position to this position, and they are exerting these forces on the almirah position. Two persons A and B. Second case, take second case, say this is the almirah, and then another person C, a person C alone, he is pushing. He is pushing at the almirah, exerting a force of 5 Newton. He alone, he is exerting a force of 5 Newton, and the almirah gets displaced. And the almirah was placed initially at the same position as in the case of A and B. That means that, what you can say now? What you can say? We can say that both the effect of the forces are exactly same. The effect which C or which this force creates on the almirah is equal to the forces or the effect which these two forces together has exerted on the almirah. Okay, that is the same exactly. So here what we can say, here we can say the resultant force F. Okay, the resultant force or the force F or the force produced F is the resultant of F1 and F2. So in generally what we can say, that means F is equal to F1 plus F2. So in this what we can say, the resultant force F, okay, the resultant force F for a number of forces acting on a body, for a number of forces acting on a body is what? Is nothing but it is a single force, okay? It is a single force which produces the same effect as the forces produces which are taken together. It produces the same effect. This effect and this effect is same. For example, here your F1 and F2 was what? 2 plus 3 and it gives you 5, and here is also 5. That means the effect is same. So what happened? What I said, in general what we can say, the resultant force for a number of forces working on a body is a single force which produces the same effect as produces by the forces taken together. So this is all about resultant force. Now next we will also talk about balanced and non-balanced or unbalanced forces. The next we will talk about balanced or unbalanced forces. Balanced and unbalanced forces. Now taking the same example of the almirah, okay. Now balanced and unbalanced forces will come when taking the same almirah. For example, again I'm taking the same almirah, okay. Now here two persons are exerting a force on the almirah but in opposite direction. Let's say a person is exerting a force here F2 and from this side F1. So he is exerting a force from this side and he is exerting a force from this side, F1 and F2, but in opposite directions. Now if these two forces or the effect of these two forces cancel out each other and there is no displacement, okay, and there is no displacement or there is no acceleration or the resultant force is equal to 0, that means that the forces which are acting on the body are balanced forces. Okay, so in simple terms what we can say, when the forces acting on a body cancel out the effect of each other in such a way that the resultant force is 0, then we say that the forces are balanced forces. Or in another word also we can say that when resultant force is 0, there is no displacement, and the forces working are balanced forces, or when there is no displacement, then the forces are balanced. Okay, vice versa, similarly. Now let's take the second case. Similarly, now let's take like this. F1 and F2, again they are what, exerting a force opposite to each other. Now let's say F1 is equal to 5m and F2 is equal to 3m. Okay, they are what? One is 5m and another one is 3m. So it's very clear that he is exerting 2m more. He is exerting a force of 2 and more in the direction of F1. And what will happen? The almirah will get displaced to the direction of what? F1. It will get displaced towards the direction of F1. It will get displaced here. That means it shows that the unbalanced forces are acting on the body. Here you are getting a displacement, you are getting a resultant force, and you are also getting acceleration. You are getting displacement or resultant force. When the resultant force is not equal to 0, that means that the forces which are acting on the body are unbalanced forces. Okay? So very simple, or you can say that if a number of forces acting on the body produces no acceleration, then the forces acted are upon what? Unbalanced forces. Or unbalanced forces, whatever they're acting on the body, so it produces a resultant force. It's very simple. So what are balanced and unbalanced forces? Simple. When the resultant force is 0, that they are balanced. The forces acting are what? Balanced forces. And when the resultant force F is not equal to 0, that means an unbalanced force is working, or an unbalanced force is exerted on the object or on the body. Now we will talk about Newton's first law of motion. Okay, firstly we have talked about force and the effect of forces, and then resultant force and balanced and unbalanced forces. Now we will talk about Newton's first law of motion. And who was Newton? Sir Isaac Newton was a English physicist and a mathematician who formulated the three laws of motion. The first law we are going to learn now. The Newton's first law of motion states what? It states that a body at rest will remain at rest and a body in motion will remain in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless an external force acts on it to change its state of rest or of uniform motion. Now this law or this statement can be broken into two parts. The first part, what does it say? The first part it says that the body will remain at rest. The body will remain at rest unless an unbalanced force acts on it. That as similarly as at the beginning I have said that unless and until you exert a force on an object, it will not change its position. So similarly it tells that a body will remain at rest only unless an external force acts on it. Simple. See, you just see the book, it is at rest. It is not moving. So it is at rest and it will not move until and unless I exert a force on it. Right? So it says that it will not move unless an external force acts on it. Now the second part. It says what? It says that a body will remain in motion. A body which is in motion will remain in motion in the same direction and in the same speed. Okay, here also unless an external force acts on it either to stop it or to change its state of rest or uniform motion. So this statement is broken into two parts. The first part, what it says that an object will remain at rest only until and unless an external force acts on it, or in the simple way, or in another words, you can say that no body can move by itself. Okay, and in the second part it says that the motion or the body which is in motion will always remain in motion unless and until an external force is acted on it. For example, you take the cricket ball or a football which was kicked and it is now in motion, and until and unless it is stopped by the goalkeeper, it tends to be in the uniform motion only, right? And similarly the moving car also, the football and the cricket ball. So all these are examples which says that unless and until an external force acts on an object to stop it, it cannot stop by itself. So it says that, as in the first case, it says that a body cannot move by its own, and the same also, similarly, it cannot stop by its own. Some external force has to act on it to stop it. So this is Newton's first law of motion. Now from these examples, what we can say? From these examples or from this statement, according to Newton or from this Newton law of motion, we can say that force is what? Force is a pull or push. Is a pull or push which changes, which changes or tends to change its state of motion or rest of an object. Is a push or a pull which tends or changes the state of motion or rest of an object. That is force according to Newton's first law of motion. Now from all this discussion and all the examples, we also know that, or we can conclude that what a body, any body, it resists a change in the state of its motion or rest. A body will always resist or it will exert an opposition force. It will always resist or it will provide an opposition force to change in its state of rest or motion, and that resistance is known as a body resists. A body, from all the above discussion, we can come to one conclusion that a body resists to change its state of either motion or rest, and that resistance is known as inertia. It is known as inertia. The resistance that a body offers while changing its state of motion is known as inertia. Now, this Newton's first law of motion is also known as Galileo's law of inertia. The Newton's first law of motion is known as what? Galileo's law of inertia. It is known as Galileo's law of inertia also. And this law states what? It states that the tendency of an object to oppose any change in its state of rest or uniform motion is called the inertia of the body. That means, in simple words, the resistance, okay, the tendency of an object to resist any change, to resist or to oppose any change in its states of rest or motion is called the inertia of the body. It's called the inertia of the body. Now, this inertia is further divided into three types. Inertia is further divided into three types. The first inertia is inertia of rest. The first one is inertia of rest. Now, what is inertia of rest? It is the resistance offered by the body to change its state of rest. It is what? It is the resistance. Okay, it is the resistance offered by the body to what? To change its state of rest. Now here, let us take the example of a bus journey, or when you're in a car, or when you are a passenger of a bus or train, you can experience this. Now, for very example, what happens when a bus suddenly starts? What happens when a bus suddenly starts? You are standing or you are sitting, and when a bus suddenly starts, what happens? The passengers will feel a jump backward, right? We feel a backward jump. Why this happens? This happens because of inertia of rest. See, our foot is in contact with the bus. So as soon as the bus starts, or as the bus start in motion, our foot, which is in contact with the bus, it also comes in motion. But our upper body, which is in rest, and it tends to in rest. It tends to be in rest. That's why tense means it resists, right? It resists or it opposes to be in rest. That's why our body experiences a jerk backward. You can also take an example of shaking the tree. When you shake a tree vigorously, what happens? The tree or the branches, they come in motion. But what about the fruits? The fruits, they are in rest, and that is why the fruit get detached from the branch and then they fall to the ground. Another example also you can take, like while playing carom, what happens when you strike a pile of carom coins? What happens? The lowest one which it strikes, it only displaces, right? The rest, they remain in the same position. That is all because of inertia of rest. So these are the examples of inertia of rest. The next inertia, or the second one, is inertia of motion. The next one is inertia of motion, and it is the resistance. Offered by the body to change what? To change its state of motion. To change its state of motion. The resistance offered by body to change its motion. For example, the same example you take. Now, when the bus is in motion, our body is also in motion along with the bus, right? And suddenly, when the bus driver, he applies the brake, or the bus comes to a stop, what happens? Our body again experiences a jerk. It again experiences a jerk in which direction? In the forward direction. Now, it experiences a jerk in the forward direction. Why happens? It happens because of the inertia of motion. As the bus is also on motion, our body is also on motion. But as soon as the bus stops, as our foot is in contact with the bus, due to frictional force, what happens? As soon as the bus stops, our foot also stops. But our upper body remains in motion, and that's why, or it tends to remain in motion. That's why it experiences a jerk in the forward direction. You can also take an example of a person jumping from a bus. Okay, a person jumping from a moving bus always moves forward, always goes forward. Why? Same reason, because the foot, as soon as touches the ground, it comes to rest, but the upper body tends to remain in motion. And the last inertia is inertia of direction. Inertia of direction. And it is what? It is the resistance offered by the body to change its direction. It is the resistance offered by the body to change its direction. Now again, here also you can take the example of a bus. When we are in a bus or in a car, when the car or the bus, it takes turn, it goes this way or this way, our body also feels a jerk in the different directions or in the forward direction. That is because of the inertia of direction. There are many examples, like you can take an example of bicycle. Okay, the water drops is sticking to the tire. What happens to it? When we start riding a bicycle, the water droplets start leaving it tangentially. When a bicycle is riding, what happens to the water drop? It moves out like this, right? So it divergently or tangentially it goes out when we ride the bicycle. Similarly, example you can also take as the mud guards in the cars and the vehicles. They are for the safety of the driver also. So these are all examples of inertia of direction. You can also read the examples which are given in your textbook, and you can also read from the other resources also the different examples of different types of inertia. Okay, now we have learned here about the Newton's first law of motion. We have learned about inertia. We have also learned about the 3 types of inertia. And lastly, before we end, we also like to talk about inertia and mass. Let's now talk about the relationship between inertia and mass. Here also, let us take an example. Let us take an example. You can do this experiment at home also with the help of your friend or your brother, sister, anyone. You are asked, when you are asked to move a shell which is empty, and you are asked to move a shell which is full of books. Now there are 2 shells, okay? One is empty, another is full of books, and you are exerting a force on both of them. Which body will exert more resistance? Which one? The empty one or the full, or the shelf which is full of books, that will exist more resistant? Or you will find difficulty in moving which shelf moving in, you will find difficulty in moving which shelf, right? Obviously the answer, or what the difference is, you will find difficulty in moving the shelf which is full of books, or the shelf which is full of books will give you more resistance, right? Will provide more resistance. Why? The answer is mass, because of mass. Because of mass. Okay? So you have to keep in mind that mass or a heavier body will always offer more resistance than a lighter body in all the 3 cases of inertia. Okay? It will, a heavier body will always give you more resistance or more opposition. A heavier body will give more inertia than the lighter bodies in all the 3 types of inertia. Thus, what we can say, that inertia is or mass is a measure of inertia. Thus, what we can say, that mass is a measure. We can measure inertia by mass, is a measure of inertia. Okay, mass is a measure of inertia, and it is proportional to the mass of the body. So mass is what? It is the proportional to the inertia. Okay, mass is proportional to the inertia of the body. So this is the relationship between mass and inertia. When a body has more mass, it will give more resistance or more inertia than the body which is lighter or which has less mass. So in this video, what we have learned, the topics we have learned about force. Firstly, we have learned about force. Now, what is force? It is a pull or a push, or it is the action of one body on the another. Then we have also learned about the effects of forces, like it changes the shape and size of a moving body, it changes the speed, it changes the direction of speed, right? So we have seen the effects of forces also. Next, we have seen the resultant force. Resultant force, or a number of forces acting on a body, and how resultant force is calculated. Then we have also learned about balanced and unbalanced forces. What are balanced forces? When the resultant force is equal to 0, the forces acting on the body are said to be balanced, and when the resultant force is not equal to 0, or there is a displacement, then the forces acting on a body are known as unbalanced forces. Then we have also learned about the Newton's first law of motion, which states that a body remains in a state of rest or motion until and unless an external force acts on it. Then from there we also learn about inertia, the tendency of a body to oppose any change in its state of rest or motion. And then during inertia we have also learned about the different types of inertia, like inertia of motion, inertia of rest, and inertia of direction. And lastly, we have also talked about inertia and mass, that is mass is proportional to the inertia of the body, and a heavier body always gives more inertia than a lighter body. So these are the subtopics which we have learned in this video.